Namaste, everybody, and we are starting mad-Bhagavadgi. Uh, Lakshmi Madam, the floor is yours.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. Namaskaram to all.
Namaste, namaskaram.
Namaste, ma'am.
The floor is yours.
Yes.
Lakshmi, 1 second. Sorry, 1 second. Can
no
you
problem.
adjust your camera? We cannot
Yes,
see you
yes.
fully.
Yes.
Your
Okay, I
fan
was changing.
and ceiling is seen more. Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
better.
Mobile phone.
Yes, thank you so much. Sorry for interrupting.
No, ma'am. Nothing like that. Thank you for telling me.
Oh, I should have. Yeah, thank you for also. I think I'll put you on the. Yes,
Yes.
yes, madam.
Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. अथ द्वितीयोऽध्यायः सांख्ययोगः संजय उवाच तं तथा कृपयाविष्ठाम् अश्रुपूर्णाकुलेक्षणम् विषिदन्तामिदं वाक्यम् उवाच मधुसूदनः श्रीभगवानुवाच कुतस्त्वाकश्मलामीधम् विषमे समुपस्थितम् अनार्यजुष्टमस्वर्ग्यम् अकीर्तिकरमर्जुन. One more shloka which sir said can be of my choice. This shloka appealed to me mainly because it speaks of Arjuna's complete surrender to Lord Krishna when he expresses his inability to handle the problem and seeks help. This was the 7th verse in the Sankhya Yoga. कार्पण्यदोषोपहता स्वभाव पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेतः यच्छ्रेयास्यानिश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधिं त्रं प्रपन्नम्.
Excellent.
Now, sir has given the opportunity to talk about my understanding of chapter 2 Sankhya Yoga verses 12 to 25. Thank you, sir. In these verses, Lord Krishna is basically...
You are now the teacher. You are not. You are going to tell us, and we are going to try and understand from you. What I'm trying to say is, all of us have a perfection within us. All of us are perfect. Neither of us is bigger or lesser or better than the other. We will learn from you, including I. Okay, so you are now in the position of a guru, and I am in the position of a Sishya. I am only coordinating now, so that we don't have confusion. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's do this.
Yes, sir. Now, in these chapters, Lord Krishna is basically guiding a confused and bewildered Arjuna to get up and fight and do his duty. This is basically the gist of the teaching between 12 to 25 verses, where he speaks about how the self has always been there, is ancient, eternal, and can never be slain, nor does it slay anybody, nor does it kill anybody. So where is the question of killing someone? So you go ahead and fight, Arjuna. Now, this is what Bhagavan tells very compassionately in different ways in these verses. Now, to share about my understanding, particularly on how we, the Arjunas of today, how we can apply this teaching in our daily living is what I was trying to correlate it to.
Okay. Okay, sorry.
Sir. Yes. So,
No, please continue.
yes, sir. So, one of the primary things that the Lord speaks about is the law of change. How change is the only unchangeable eternal thing that happens. In the sense that how we move from Balyam to Kaumaram to Yauvanam to Vardhakyam. Similarly, life goes through this pattern. All the embodied self, the bodies are destined to die. They come into existence, they live for a certain period, and then they die. So these are not reality. The only real thing is the self, which is there in each and every jivatma, in each and every body which we see. There is the self. Now that self is unmanifest. It is unchangeable. It was never there, never born to die. It has always been there, eternal. So this understanding actually helps common people like us. Especially one of the major worries or anxieties that we all have is one, many of us have fear of death, anxiety of death. Many of us, greater worry is losing our loved ones or facing grief when we lose someone. If this principle, which Lord has taught Arjuna, can be applied in our daily life, it gives us an understanding that the body, just as we change our old clothes, it is there in one of the verses where we change our old clothes and wear new one. The body, once the purpose is served in this birth, it just discards, the soul just discards this body and takes a new body, fresh one, to fulfill its purpose further. So if we start having that understanding, it helps us to bring that element of detachment when grief strikes us. That is the first learning I thought we can take from these verses. One more point which I would like to share is, see, what happens is whatever affects us is the mind, which perceives various occurrences through the sense organs. So the sense organs bring the experience to the mind, and the mind, because of its various conditioning, is perceiving these things and taking it differently. Now, each body perceives the various happenings, or let me put it this way, just to share an example. There might be one particular food item. One person may like it in a certain way, another person may like it in a different way. It's their individual sense organs which is giving them that experience. Therefore, the mind is the main cause. If the mind can, if we in our mind can detach ourselves from the sense organs and view it objectively, most things we can handle it in a better manner. Another classic example would be about the obituary column in a newspaper. When we look at a person who we don't know at all, have no connection with, we just see that news and move on. Somebody died. But if that person is somebody known to us, the emotions well up. So in these times, if we can just, why is it that the same incident brings different responses to different people? It is because of the sense organ and the mind perceiving it. So if we can bring about that kind of equanimity in all situations, if we can remember to bring that equanimity and detach ourselves, I think we can handle life in a better manner. That's all.
Okay. Now, I have a few questions. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, you spoke about an outcome. Now, what I'm going to ask you about is the input. How do you decode the input which Sri Krishna is talking about in the verses 12 to 25? Because it is important, if we do not decode the meaning of what he's saying, you're jumping straight to the interpretation.
Hmm.
An interpretation without the decoding of the data, in if you take in pramana, is like jumping to a conclusion. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to okay, this is not personal. Okay, we are all
Yes,
trying to learn. Okay,
yes,
please
yes,
don't misunderstand me, because I'm not trying to um, kind of show anybody down or anything like that. I'm
yes.
trying, what the basic intent is, to get into the granularity so that we understand exactly. The ultimate objective is to make you Sri Krishna. So if you want to become Sri Krishna, you have to think like Sri Krishna. If you have to think like Sri Krishna, you have to decode what he is saying
Yes.
before you jump to the conclusion into the application part. All
Yes.
of us quickly know how to drive, but what happens to the car is something we do not think about.
Huh.
So here what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get you to get into what is Sri Krishna actually trying to say. So like for instance, he says, you grieve for those that should not be grieved, the wise do not grieve for the. So you we had talked about it.
Yes.
The nobody exists permanently. So the temporariness, we don't, that is, these are straightforward. You had spoken about two things that the, okay, here let's first talk about what he is saying. Outward cognition results in cold, heat, etc. So the sense organs. The man who is not anguished is a champion among men. Okay, so you also spoke about withdrawal from the this. Now here I'm asking about in verses 16. Okay,
Hmm.
if you have the book with you,
Yes, I have, sir.
it does not exist in cognition of experience. No experience is cognized in this state of merger. Also, inside of these two states, uh, have been seen by the knowers of the state. Cognizable, cognize that indestructible indeed is that which pervades everything. Now, what is this meaning? What is he trying to say here? Now, because the rest of it is pretty straightforward, this
Correct.
one is he is talking about something that is the foundation of everything that is before and after.
Huh.
Unfortunately, Sri Krishna is a very bad communicator. He goes backwards and forwards, and he does not bring it out in a cogent manner. Here he is first talking about something and then he's jumping into something else.
Yes.
So I am asking you to decode sage 16 and 17.
Yes. Okay, sir, I'll try to do it. Now, in my understanding, what Lord
Hmm.
Krishna, when he refers to this, that self, the supreme self,
Hmm.
and how this supreme self is indestructible, that's basically the idea we wish to convey. Now, uh, the Lord has always been there. He is always the power, which we call the self in this context for our understanding. The supreme self has always been there. He has made all the other living beings as an amsham of himself, as a part of himself. So each one of us is having a part of that supreme self. So even in this example, Arjuna is worried that on the opposite side, I have my Guru Drona, I have my grandfather Bhishma. How can I kill them? So here also, what Bhagwan is telling, he is saying, Arjuna, you are looking at him as your grandfather. You're looking at him as your teacher. But no, they are all part of the same, they are all having the same self within them. In this birth, they have taken up this role of being your teacher or your grandfather, but you are not killing them. They will be just discarding that body. You cannot kill them because they have always been there as that soul. They are all part of me. That doesn't mean that, for example, if I am Lakshmi and I have that Jivatma, I mean the Paramatma Swabhava in me, doesn't mean I am God, but that godly part is in me. So if tomorrow, if I cease to exist, it's only the body that is dropped, but that soul remains. It may take a different form. That point is what Lord Krishna is trying to drive into Arjuna, saying, look at them only as souls. Don't look at them as your uncle or teacher.
You are talking about a relationship. Here he is not, I'm 16 and 17 has no relationship here at all. It is talking about a phenomenon, something.
Mhm.
It is, he is describing something. It does not exist in cognition of space. No experience is cognized in the state of merger. Also, inside of these two states have indeed been seen by the nose of the state. Cognize that indestructible indeed is that which pervades everything. Destruction of the imperishable is not something anyone can do. What is the meaning of destruction of the imperishable is not something anyone can do.
Meaning of destruction of the imperishable.
So
See,
what might the state be? So I'm asking you to describe this thing. See, you were talking about outcomes. I'm still sticking to the fundamental problem of what is the description of this thing that Sri Krishna is talking about. What is this? How can, if Sri Krishna is saying something exists and he says that people have experienced it, then what will that be? What is that particular state? I'll take you back to the same words.
yes, sir.
Destruction of the imperishable is something that, I mean, it's not something anyone can do. That means
Huh.
it does not exist, it
Yes.
is imperishable.
Hmm.
That means what? It is some, if something does not exist, it is a null, right? It is a
Yeah.
state of null.
Yes.
So if you were to reflect on what is the state of nothing or null,
Hmm.
that is the state that he is talking about.
Hmm. Yes, sir.
So it is a cognitive state.
Yes.
That cognitive state is what we call Brahman.
Yes.
Now he is saying that that is the foundation of everything.
Hmm.
So there are two parts here now. So what happens is that if that is the foundational state, then what happens? How does it that from nothing something can happen? Come, that is the question I have for you. What is the Laukika Vishaya? That is what is happening in the world is something that you and I are able to understand. What Sri Krishna is talking to Arjuna. And that is not the intention of our class. The intention of our class is to go to the underlying meanings of those particular states. What is the state of zero? What is the state of null? How do you experience it?
Yes, sir.
Because
That
if
is,
Sri Krishna can experience it, you should be able to experience it.
yes. If I may, I don't know if I'm digressing from it, sir. I'm attempting to answer. It is the deep sleep state that we is when we experience that moment where
Do we?
we are is
Do
what
we? At that time your cognition is you're dead. You're not experiencing anything.
we are not experiencing anything, sir. But when we wake up, only the deep sleep state is when this is basically what Bhagwan Ramana has also taught the same thing that we don't, can we say we don't exist? We cannot say that we don't exist. When we wake up after a very deep sleep, we know that we were there and we have enjoyed that deep sleep. So, what is that something which enjoyed that deep sleep where there was no mind, where there was no body, but still we were there? That is the Brahman.
There is a problem there.
Huh.
The problem there is the self is not aware of that state. That means that when you are deeply in deep sleep, the self, Lakshmi, is not aware of that state. However, if you take an example of Ramana, Sri Ramana was aware of that state when he was in dhyana. That is the fundamental difference. So he was merged with Brahman. In that state, the identity, the individual Ramana did not exist. He was part of the Brahman.
Yes.
So you get where I'm going?
I am getting you. So in the sense that Bhagwan Ramana could stay in that state always, where he was one with everything around him. He kind of merged, like you spoke about your car example, sir, where you said that merging part. He merged with his surroundings. He had
Correct.
no distinction between you, me, him, or her. That was,
Exactly.
but that was a very exalted state, which
So
probably he could reach.
no, that state is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi.
Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Yes,
That
sir.
is, there is no change. So when there is no change, and that is what I'm trying to, why am I going back into fundamentals and basics? Because that state, once you understand, you know the goal. All of us, if we have a goal, if we want to say become engineers, we have to finish engineering. We know that there is a goal, we work for it. Now, why am so when I'm talking about you saying that this is the goal, this is the goal, continuously focusing you all on the goal, then what happens is that each of us understands that this is where we need to reach. And when we know where we have to go, then it becomes easier for us to put in an effort, because each step we are constantly comparing our path with the goal, which is why I gave you this particular uh, these verses, because I didn't give you a specific verse. I said go do this range of verses. Why? Because I was wondering how we would all be able to churn this particular data that is given. Sri Krishna is giving a lot of the information, and then the thing is that he is forcing us to it is up to us to decode it. Most of the places in the most of the things that happen in Srimad Bhagavad Gita's is that it is all about outcome related explanations, that he's talking to us about Jivatma, Paramatma being one and all that. This particular thing goes beyond Jivatma and Paramatma. It goes to the state of null. Because even if you have Jivatma and Paramatma, they are something that exists. There is an existentiality there. Whereas here there is no existence. Nothing exists here. You get what I'm going, where I'm going?
Yes, sir.
So there is a distinction. So what happens is, if I may try and explain this to you, this entire thing is Maya. This whole thing is nothing. It actually does not exist. It's a phenomenon. If you take the word Maya, the root dhatu of Maya is Ma. Ma means phenomenon. So that means that all of this that we consider as real is actually a phenomenon. This phenomenon comes from some place, and that is what he's explaining here. So he says that the two states, that this phenomenal state and the actual underlying principle of null, these are two different states, and these are cognized by these, inside of these two states have been cognized by knowers of the states. That means it is an experience, which is why I keep on saying that yoga is an experience. Am I getting through?
Yes. Yes, sir.
So basically, that is the Sankhya Yoga is very critical, because it explains the aspect, the foundational aspect of existence. That is the nirguna state, the place where there is no guna. And one of the reasons why I'm trying this new experiment, instead of giving just a lecture but asking y'all to also participate, is because what happens is that for as long as you're just listening, very often it is just washing over you. Whereas when you're engaged in it, you are actually then beginning to, there is an investment, and then you look at the return, isn't it?
Definitely, sir.
So here, I'm very grateful to you for putting in this effort, Lakshmi Madam. I learnt a lot, and I hope you learnt a lot as well.
Yes, sir. I was very happy I am doing something like this for the first time. So I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity and for the class to bear with me. Thank you.
Yes, no, you were very erudite and very, very lucid. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Now we will switch to Lalita Madam. Yes.
So I just wanted to tell, Lakshmi, you were very good. You spoke so well, very smoothly. The flow was excellent, and I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of everyone. We enjoyed it, and sir, really, it's commendable that you are giving, coming out with all these various ways to involve us. Not just passive participation, but to make it very active participation.
Yes.
So
Very
thank you, sir, for you also. But one thing, the one sentence, am I taking too much time? Should I speak after the other one speaks?
No. This is about the Brahman. So basically, but Lalita madam, quickly. Yes.
Huh. That phrase about destruction of the imperishable. I'm going to take only that part. So it is sort of like an oxymoron. See, imperishable
Yes.
cannot be destroyed. So,
Exactly.
what in other words what it meant to me was that, see, Brahman is present everywhere. It's not just that the Amsha is in each one of us. It's not like that. It is everywhere, like the air is everywhere, the space is everywhere. Like that, Brahman is much more subtler, much more, I mean, the very source and the basic of everything. So
Correct.
it is just that our body, our mind, and through the senses, they reflect it. I mean, we are able to interact with the world, with the Brahman through the
Lalita
Amsha.
madam,
Yeah.
Lalita madam, I'm going to stop you because you are repeating what Lakshmi madam was saying. So I'm sorry, I'm going to
Okay.
cut you
Okay.
down because this is
Okay. Okay.
a
Okay.
1 hour time frame, and I'd like to. What I'm trying to
Yes.
say here
Yes.
is
Yes. Yes.
you're still talking about an outcome. I am not talking. We are the problem with all of us is that we are talking outcomes. We are not talking the foundational aspect. Here again, I'm asking. I'm going to ask you to reflect on this. What is that state where the cognition of the indestructible can be done? What is that state? I am asking you to figure out what is that state of Brahman. I am not asking you to describe it. Here, Lakshmi Madam has also described it in the same way as you have. There's no difference between your explanations, which only the words are different. The point is, what is that state? I'm not asking you to describe the outcomes. I'm asking you to put a finger on what is that state. And that is where the problem comes. You understand what I'm saying?
I don't know. I thought this itself, I didn't realize it that I was talking about the result or the this application of it. I thought it was to understand that
Let
the
me.
Brahman is everywhere, all around, and we are in it. We are part of
Okay.
it. It's only that the
Let me.
body is discarded.
No. Let me try and explain
Yeah.
this to you. You can see water, right? Water is H2O, but you cannot see hydrogen and you cannot see oxygen.
Yes.
You also cannot see where hydrogen and oxygen come from. You also cannot see what is the source of hydrogen and oxygen, but they are all existing. They exist in the environment right now. There is oxygen and hydrogen right here. I can't see it. Point I'm making is,
Yes.
where does that come from? That is what he is trying to explain throughout this particular this entire this particular frame, the 12 to 25. He is talking about where it comes from, and that you need to cognize. Where is that coming from? What is that source? We all recognize what you are saying is correct, that we are all amsham of the supernatural, the super thing. That we are not talking about supra part at all. We are trying to zero in on the goal. What is that particular foundation? Am I able to? Are you understanding? Because if you don't get to the goal, what is the Brahman? How can I cognize the Brahman? You will be all the time messing with various other things.
It, it's the be all and end all and one all. It's the what should we say? Our endeavor is to experience that oneness, that Advaita feeling
But madam,
within
what is that state?
in
See,
and
the thing
around.
is, even now, you're saying the same thing. We all agree with what you're saying. There is nothing wrong with what you're saying. What is that?
Yeah, but
How
I
do
want
you
to
do that?
understand how to reach that. How to, what you are trying to tell us, ask us. Why don't you give us the reply?
No, no, I've already
Answer.
done that. It is the state of null. Like for instance, you say nothing. Nothing exists. It's the same thing. The imperishable and it's something that does not exist. It is actually the state of null means what? There is no physical existence of anything there. When there is no physical existence of anything, even God becomes a physical existence. Any creation becomes a physical existence. So this is a state where there is no creation, there is no change. What is that state where there is no change?
Sir,
That is the state that you need to reach.
this is going back to our previous classes where you spoke about the Shakti and the Shiva aspect, sir. So now when you are saying this, I'm just reminded of that. The Shiva is
Yes,
that which doesn't move. There is nothing at all in it. The null that you spoke about.
yes,
The
yes.
Shakti is what which comes out, and all this.
No,
Huh,
Shakti cannot come out without Shiva. So Shiva
correct.
also comes from the point of Shiva comes from null and he is unable to move without Shakti.
Yes, that's what you told us in that previous class.
So I am
Mhm.
saying you
Mhm.
this is the entire business of yoga is an exercise in regression
Mhm.
from current state to the
Mhm.
state of null.
Yes.
That state of null, unless you recognize that that state of null is where we need to hit, we will always be going around in circles in samsara sagara. Because what happens, what unfortunately we have as a problem is that we don't recognize that we have to destroy ourselves in the process of hitting null. That means for as long as Vishwanath exists, I will continuously be creating and destroying materiality. I will always have relationships. I will always be creating karma. I will always be creating debts. And that is where the problem is. We are all the time talking on the periphery without hitting the core. That is where the problem comes. The understanding of Brahman is the absolute key to finding a solution to breaking the cycle of birth and death. So, Sonal madam, please talk.
Yes, sir, just put in two words.
Yes, please.
I was thinking, I have heard this example from some Guruji, and it is like a salt doll
Do you want
tries
others to
to
see
go
you or
into the
not?
sea and measure the.
Don't you want others to see you? Yes, madam. Thank you.
So it's like a salt doll trying to go and measure the sea, and in the process, the salt doll just dissolves. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was saying that it like salt doll, a doll made of salt, trying to go and measure the depth of the sea. And in the process, the doll dissolves in the sea.
Correct. That is one part of
So
it. But I'm asking you to
is
define
it
the sea.
that experience of going to null?
Correct. So the question is, if you don't know what is the quality of that sea, how will you be able to define how the salt all gets dissolved? You have to be able to define what is the nature of that salt sea. Unless you can at least cognize it deep within yourself, what is that state of the salt sea? You will not be able to define how to get to that point where you dissolve into that sea, no?
Yes.
And that is what I'm forcing you all
So
to think, forcing you all to figure out. Because if you don't figure that out, everything else is a waste of time.
okay.
Now I'm asking you, what is the nature of that salt sea that you spoke about? The
It
nature
is
of
the
that
source
salt
of all
sea.
the salt in the world.
No, no, no. Now
It is the
you
source of
used an
all the
example.
salt
It
in
is
the world.
you used an example. Now you have to turn that example into a something that is real for the cognition. How does that infinity or the null state, how, what might it be? The more you think about it, the more you begin to realize it is not easy to figure out.
Sir, I think even the Vedas are saying neti neti, then who am I to describe that?
No, no, it is neti neti means not this, not this, not this. That is, this is not the truth, this is not the truth, this is not the truth. Once you reject everything as not the truth, then what happens is you then go to that state which is the truth. That is what neti neti means. That is jnana yoga. We will come to that at a later stage. So the question is, first you have to define the goal. And the goal, which is what I am trying to say, is the state of null. Zero. You take zero and try to experience zero. If you experience zero, that means there is nothing happening there. A state where nothing happens, nothing changes, is zero. How do you experience that state? Meenu madam, I'm coming to you. Okay, think about it. I'll go.
No
We'll ask
clue.
Meenu madam has something to say. Meenu madam, please.
So what I'm trying to say is that in thinking,
Madam, we can't hear you. And why don't you allow everybody to see you?
no particular reasons.
Okay. So what did you like to what would you
So
like to say?
I am saying that um, we are trying to grapple with understanding of something which is null, or
Correct.
okay. Now, and at the same time, it's supposed to be so vast that it's beyond understanding. So
It is an
how?
experience. No, that is why it is called a state. It is a state of null. It is not. It is not null itself. It is a state.
Yeah, but the the supreme Brahman is in that state of null. Am I right?
The Brahman is the state of null. Yes.
No, Brahman is the state or Brahman is in the state.
Brahman is the state.
Okay. So there is no such thing as Brahman. It's simply a state.
It is a state. That is the fundamental difference between us and other religions. For us, everything is an experience. Anubhava.
Then what are all our deities and gods and everybody? They are all Anubhava?
That yes, but I will come to that a little later. I have explained this in an earlier class, but we will go to that a little later. Because
Okay.
if I take you there, then it will be complete confusion.
So my question is not rather a question and observation. It's just that how are we supposed to, with our limited, man, buddhi, chitta, hamkara kind of all limited tools, going to be able to understand and maybe we can experience, but understand and explain
Okay,
is.
excellent question. Actually, I'm glad that you raised this. I mean, I would not have thought of this. You
We are not equipped
do.
with those tools.
No, you are. Actually, you are practicing it in class every time. You remember I tell you to go. There are two things that we do in class. One is we do what is called kumbhaka. What is kumbhaka? Kumbhaka is a pot.
Yeah.
Inside the pot, once it is full or when it is empty, does anything happen?
No.
Nothing happens. Correct?
Yeah.
Now, when that kumbhaka, you experience the silence in the kumbhaka, and then it becomes sublime and it becomes part of you. At that time, what exists? Nothing exists.
So I didn't even understand what you mean by saying there's nothing inside and it becomes part of you. What do you mean?
Let me say that you go inside a room,
Yeah.
you cut off all your sensory stimuli.
Okay.
That is, you cut off the light, you cut off the hearing, the room is completely soundproofed.
Right.
Nothing, you are, all your senses are deprived of stimuli.
Right.
What will happen?
Our sense of self is the first thing that we tend to kind of wobble on.
Fine. Then after that, you're sitting there all the time. Nothing. You're not moving from that place.
That's what I'm
What
saying.
happened?
See, when our eyes, ears, everything, all the senses are closed, even in like 5 minutes, we are in a room or in a theater.
I am not able to hear you.
I don't know what should I do for that. You're not able to hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay. So, um, even if we are deprived for a very brief time from the use of our senses, um, for a nanosecond at least, we lose ourselves. This happens, like, for example, say in a room there are 50 people sitting, the light has been switched off, everybody is supposed to keep silent, okay, and close their eyes. So people are closing the eyes and sitting in the silence, and like that 5 minutes pass, everything is pin drop silence. Everybody's kind of started going inwards because of the silence and the closing of eyes and the pitch darkness, everything. When the lights are turned on, it takes a nanosecond to kind of, it's almost like we are returning back into our body, and that sensation is an extremely nanosecond sensation, but it's there unmistakably, that
Mm.
somehow we were detached from our body. And I don't know what that we supposed to be, I'm not going to try and define that, but that
Mm.
we comes back into the body and say, oh, okay, I'm here, okay, fine, you know.
Excellent, excellent. I couldn't have put it better. Now the question to you is, what would happen if you never put on the light again?
Put off or put on?
Put on the light again. You went into a darkened room and never
Yeah.
came out of it.
I guess that is what those rishis used to go into prolonged samadhi kind of state, you know. And in that
What
samadhi,
is that state? No, 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 no. Stay with this. Stay with this. What is that state?
yes, first thing that, as I have never been into that rishi kind of samadhi ever, so I'll be
No,
honest.
I'm asking you to project. I'm
Yeah,
asking you to
yeah. So
project.
my answer is going to be from an amateur perspective, not someone who's claiming
Arey
to know.
Baba, just don't worry too much about being correct. Just say it.
Okay, and so I just feel that they will the feeling must be like, first thing is lack of any sense of the physical body. That's the very first thing, the gross body.
Annamaya Kosha.
Okay, that part even I have experienced many many times of not
Fair
having
enough.
of the body. The next is the if we stay longer in that state, then the mind, the thought waves are
Your
becoming,
breathing will begin to get modulated.
yes, the thought waves get stilled, relatively speaking, stilled,
Hmm.
and there is a sense of outer body experience, like you are not
You have to define outer body experience. You can't use a terminology without defining it.
okay. That there's an absolute lack of physicality in that.
Perfect. This makes sense. So that means what you're saying is that slowly the sense of identity begins to get dim. I, that I exist, my ahankara, I exist, begins to get dim. Am I correct?
No,
Then what?
not what I'm trying to say. What I'm
Okay.
trying to say is that though the sense of I, like my I'm Vidya, so my I Vidya is not there anymore. Okay,
Okay.
but the physical body with a name is not, it ceases temporarily. Okay,
Excellent.
but
So
but but
let me understand you. Let me understand you. What you are saying is that the person Vidya ceases to exist, but the individual continues to exist. There is an existential understanding of being there. Am I correct?
it's not that the physical person ceases to exist. It's just
The
that our experience.
identity ceases to exist.
No, my experience of my, see, in the normal life, okay, we are walking, talking, going here, there. We are always conscious of being inside a body, encased and named and whatever XYZ. But in that state that I am talking of, the physical body may or may not be there. It somehow ceases to have any relevance because we are no longer, our whatever the inner essence is there, it is no longer identifying itself through the use of a physical body, but it's something nebulous. It's like maybe you
Awesome. You can't. I mean, I'm getting you, and I think you are more or less hitting the nail on the head. Now,
can.
uh,
Okay.
yeah. So neither the nail nor the head exists at this point of time. But the thing is that you're talking about essentially the regression process. The
Okay.
regression process is first there's the physical body. When you the in the silence, first the modulation of the body reduces, then the breath begins to get calmed down, then the senses begin to congeal and cease to function within the system. They do not have any, they are there, but they are not really getting engaged with the external environment. Then the external environment ceases to have relevance and it becomes part of you.
So one
And then
small
there,
thing I have to say here, one small modification. You have said it very beautifully, except that I would go at the same experience in an inverse way, meaning like how you said the body congeals and everything. Instead of that, say I, the essence which is living in the body. Okay, now whether the body is shutting down or not has no relevance if I have parachuted out of the body. Okay, the I meaning the essence. It's no
okay,
longer in the body. So let the body do whatever it wants to do, shut down, close down, whatever. But I, the essence, is out of it. So it's not even connected with an umbilical cord. Nothing is there. Connect.
perfect. No, this is another way of getting there. So the question is that yoga is a conscious way of regression.
Okay.
What you have done is you have simply pulled it out
Put
without
else out of it.
without giving any regression at all. That is a very advanced capability. I don't have that capability. So the thing is that if you've been able to get there, then you are at a totally different level. That is one part. Now the question is really that one last thing before we go to the we have not asked, we have not given where is
Sorry, sir. I think I took more time.
no, Sonal madam has left or what?
Um,
So Sonal madam was supposed to talk about vairagyam. Okay, then in that case now until she comes, we will talk about. I'll just give you an example of the temple. You were talking about a temple and the deities and things like that. The deity is kept in what is called Garbha Graha.
yes.
The Garbha Graha, if you will notice, is a state of null. Nothing exists there. That is, it is an enclosed space and there is a deity kept inside it. But the environment in which the deity exists is a state of null. There is nothing there.
Hmm.
And just as the womb exists, if you will see the way the universe is called what? Hiranyagarbha, the golden womb. Why is it called the womb? Because there it is a state of null.
Because
And in
full of
that,
possibilities.
I'm sorry,
It's full of possibilities.
correct. So, but it is still a state of null. From null only possibility comes.
So is this like that Chidambaram Rahasyam?
No. You don't confuse anything.
There they will open the door. There will be nothing in there. It will be just
That is space. Because that is Panchabhuta Linga. That is you're in a different level or you're in a different state altogether.
okay.
The point I'm making is that in this particular, in a Garbhagraha, there is nothing. In that, there is what they call it a Pratima. A Vigraha is called a Pratima. Why is it called a Pratima? It is called a Pratima because it is a reflection of yourself. Whatever identity you give to that particular deity will be the message that it will give to you. So that is why it is called a Pratima. Within the Garbhagraha or the state of null, you will get whatever you give to it. It has no particular prana of its own. You do prana pratishtha, but at the end of the day, that pratibha or the vigraha holds you in the same way that you hold it. That is, why is it called vigraha? What is the word graha? Graha is the Sanskrit cognate of the English word grab. So graha means what? That which grabs you. Navagraha, 9 grabbers. Vigraha, that which grabs you. Anugraha, that with minor givings, clasping. So the point is that the deity is your reflection. It doesn't have special this, but as you continuously go and give it that kind of bhav, it gets weight, and then it begins to give back, and it has expectation of you. It becomes your anchor in your life. That's what it is meant to do. It is not a magic place. So that is why we have different deities. In fact, if you will read chapter 18, when he talks about karma, he says every action has its own devata. That means my mobile phone is a deity also. So the thing is that we have to understand the infinity or the infinite possibilities of saguna or the material aspect and how it directly relates to the state of null. That is the entire business of yoga. Okay, now I'm going to stop here because see, if you'll realize, I've not even started chapter 3. We are still on chapter 2. I think there's a lot to Lalita madam, I'll come there, but we have to give
No,
Sonal
I
madam.
just wanted to say Sonal is back. Sonal is back. Or I just wanted
Yes,
to
I
tell
saw, I
that.
saw, I saw, I saw, I saw. Sonal madam, the floor is yours. We want to hear you on vairagyam.
Sir, my humble pranams. I am not in a position to even open my mouth in front of you, but still I will try with my limited knowledge, whatever I know. Living in Kerala, by the way, I'm a Gujarati. And living in Kerala, first I came to know the word vairagyam is like having a hate. ഭയങ്കര vairagyamana. So that kind of a thing. And it was only when I started reading spiritual books and was exposed to sadhana chatushtaya that I came to know the real meaning of the word vairagyam. And it is not the same as what it is meaning in Malayalam. So jokes aside, now like I used to hear a lot about parents and elders talking about smashana vairagyam. You know, when somebody dies and people go and cremate and then they come and say asar hai, kuch bhi sar nahi hai, nothing in life, see what he took away, nothing. And so that kind of a thing. So that was also one experience about smashana vairagyam. One gets that vairagyam, that dispassion, that when you face some difficulty or when you lose something, and then promptly after some time everything comes back in life and we are as busy as ever, and life is full of whatever joys and sorrows, everything. Now another vairagyam that we have is like grapes are sour. Okay, I don't have it, so I don't care for it.
Is it vairagyam? Is it vairagyam?
No, it is not.
Ah.
No, it is not. But that is what some people think it is. So that is also not there. Then slowly, as I went deeper into sadhana, learning about sadhana chatushtaya, I came to know that it is a kind of dispassion
We are not able to
which
hear you,
is
madam.
heavily based on
Unable to hear you.
Now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not at home and I don't have a Wi-Fi here. I'm in Anandashram, Kanyangad, and this is on my data.
Okay.
So the network is very poor anyway. So this vairagyam is, I was saying that the vairagyam, that actual vairagyam which I have come to know about, is totally based on viveka. Until and unless that viveka part of it is clear, vairagyam part will be like smashana vairagyam, coming and going.
Tell me,
Okay.
what
So
is
when,
vivekam then? Then you would have to
yeah,
define vivekam.
yes, so Viveka is knowing things for as they are. How much happiness I'm getting, how much I have tried in my life, in every field, in every aspect of my life, I have given so much effort and I have tried to get happiness out of it. And everything gave me happiness for the time being. And later, again that void is felt. And I am again back into the dump and looking forward for something which will excite me, something which will give me happiness, so-called happiness. So from things to beings to anything, in life, we all through the 60 years of my life, we have been searching. I have been searching, and then suddenly one day that realization happens by the grace of Guru that nothing which is anityam can give permanent happiness.
So
So
let me kind of paraphrase what you're saying. What you're
yeah,
saying is vivekam is the ability to discriminate between that which is permanent and that which is temporary. Am I correct?
yes, yes.
Okay. So how do you use this understanding of vivekam, that is that which is temporary and that which is permanent, to understand vairagyam?
Yeah. So when we understand that this is something initially, like it was like anything, as gross as a new sari would excite, would be so exciting. I got the silk sari and this is so nice and I like to show it off. And then you find out, okay, it does not matter. Like that, slowly, slowly, other goals of life also, having children, then grandchildren, then their achievements, everything. We used to pay so much and we used to like pray to God, hey Bhagwan, ye hona chahiye, wo hona chahiye, all that. And then you come to know ki no, that is not giving you permanent happiness. Tomorrow again I'm hungry for more. So that generates a kind of vairagyam, in the sense that you come to know that nothing in the world, in this material world, nothing is permanent. And
You're
that's
still talking
thing.
about vivekam,
Yeah.
Sonal
So
madam.
then that understanding gives the vairagyam that, okay, I don't want to grapple myself in all these unpermanent things which are not going to. And then that vairagyam or the dispassion is not out of hatred. It is not out of grapes being sour, or it is not out of smashana vairagyam. It is there permanently. Wow, everything is fine, but I am happy without it. I'm like detached. That detachment automatically
Okay.
is
Let's
generated.
let's 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 hold with this particular term. For now, and for the whole explanation, you have been talking only about vivekam. You have not been talking about vairagyam. The
Okay.
thing is, you have been talking only about vivekam.
Yeah, maybe. So what I'm saying is, Viveka generated vairagyam. Vairagyam is that dispassion experience that one has. That
Okay, I'm going to
dispassion.
flip this. I'm going to flip this.
Yes.
Any
Okay.
activity has got three major components: the expectation, the process, and the outcome. Right? In vivekam, it is steady across the system. That is, in vivekam, whether it is the beginning, the middle, or the end, it is the understanding that it is all temporary.
Yeah.
How does vairagyam change the expectation, the process, and the outcome?
Yes, that is beautiful, sir. You made me think about it. I'm so grateful. When with that kind of when that generation is there in the mind, that vairagyam which comes is, in the beginning, in the end, like in karma yoga, you do everything without expectation. You go into any activity with a detached mind. Okay, it doesn't really matter how the outcome will be.
So
uh,
are you
I'm
saying
giving
that then during the beginning, vairagyam is working without sankalpa, without having a desire to accomplish anything?
in the beginning, no.
So you're saying that you're saying that if you don't have an attachment to the outcome, you cannot function.
No, when
So
you're
that
not
means
aware of these
you
things, when you are aware of these things, yes, you can function with that deep understanding, with the deep experience and understanding. You can function.
Hmm, interesting. So I'm going
Given a
to
job,
ask you to hold
you do
on.
it to the best of your ability. And okay,
I'm going to ask you to hold it, and I'm going to ask Meenu Madam to for she had something to say. Let's have
okay.
let's ask her what she has to say.
Sir, thank you for the opportunity. I won't take too long. Sir, what I feel is
Hmm.
a question came in my head as she was speaking. She defined vivekam as uh, the knowing which is good or bad. I'm
No,
talking.
no, no. She didn't say that. She has
Okay,
not said that.
okay.
Not good and bad,
Sorry.
permanent and impermanent.
Okay, that's what I'm. As I said, I was speaking in a very casual words. I'm not because that's not the focus of my question. That is why. Okay,
Hmm.
but my, and you can correct me, sir. My understanding so far had been that vivekam is not the understanding of um, what is permanent and impermanent. Rather, viveka is the power to work on the understanding that this is impermanent, this is permanent, therefore what should I choose in in the favor of my long term object or goal or whatever. What should be my choice, or what should I elect to do in the face of an impermanent and thing? So viveka is not something which, in my understanding, viveka is not something that uh, that shows you this is impermanent, that is impermanent, but viveka is something that makes you work on the knowledge, or the information now at hand, that a is impermanent and b is permanent. So what should I do? So the decision about what I should choose or do is what I understand as viveka being. So my question is, am I wrong or right?
You have again gone to an outcome. We are talking about first principles, no? You are talking about an outcome.
No, no, no.
There's nothing wrong with what
I'm
you're saying.
no, no.
The
I'm
decision making. See, the thing is that first you have to recognize what is permanent and what is impermanent. The minute you realize that, then what happens is that your entire action will be with a particular mindset that this is neither I'm doing this, but it is not permanent or impermanent.
But that is due to the viveka, na?
Correct. So
So
that is the
viveka
so
now,
the
so viveka then is a catalyst for us to take a decision on which way to go, rather the permanent or the impermanent.
you
What?
might decide not to do it also, no?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
might decide not to act. That is also there.
No, because see, if we are broadly defining the things, as she was saying, that so many things in the worldly life are impermanent and they're not giving us happiness. So largely most of the world's things will not give happiness. There's only one thing that will give happiness. So there is no third path here, right? There's either the path of
Yes,
happiness or the
correct.
path of vairagya.
That is why Vivekam is so difficult. No,
So we cannot be neutral, like how you said we can be just sitting like that. We can't sit like that. We can either be
no,
on
no,
the.
no, no. See, the thing is that you are 100% correct that there's only one. And that is what chapter 2 is all about. Chapter 2 is all about recognizing that everything is temporary. Only your only the Brahman is permanent. That
Yes.
is why it is called Paramartha Satya.
Mm,
Okay, everything else is transactional truth.
right.
The cognition, the understanding of that particular thing is there is only one truth. Everything else is temporary. Is vivekam. That is the key.
Yeah, so you're saying it's vivekam to just know it? The knowledge is vivekam?
No, nothing. We don't deal in knowledge at all. It is experience.
Okay, it's that.
When you experience it, the way you behave will be very different. Your swabhava will change.
No, I'm saying that when we recognize that all the things in the world are impermanent and Brahman is permanent, right? So this recognition is itself called a viveka, or the what we work on it. This
Okay,
recognition.
so the thing is that I got it. So what the thing is that first is the intellectual part, understanding. Thereafter, there is the implementation part.
Mm,
The implementation is bloody difficult because every time you get attracted. Oh, I love this mobile phone.
yeah, it's not
But
practical.
but what happens is that we forget that the mobile phone is temporary. The point is that the attraction. So that is my question to Sonal Madam. That where is the transition between vivekam and vairagyam? Sonal Madam.
Vairagyam is the action or the non-action that you take based on vivekam.
So the thing is that how would you use it at the beginning of a process, middle of a process, and how would you deal with the outcome?
Being detached to all the three.
So you're saying that I will function without having any attachment.
Yes.
So I am now coming down to the definition of vairagyam. From what you're saying, you can correct me if I'm wrong. What you're saying is that vairagyam is the lack of attachment to anything that happens to you.
No.
Yes. Yes.
You agree with that's what you're saying.
Yes. In the ultimate way, yes.
So, okay, I agree with what you're saying. I mean, I'm also in the same zone as you. Meenu madam is saying she doesn't agree.
No, sir. Sorry if I may. I'm just saying that the differentiation between the state of vivekam and the state of vairagyam has to be clearly distinguished.
Okay, I will explain this to you. I am sorry. Sonal madam has the floor. Sonal madam, you please try and explain to Meenu madam the difference between vairagyam and vivekam.
I'll try. See, vivekam is that knowledge which helps you, and vairagyam is that decision you take based on that viveka. Vairagyam is when you put it into practice.
So, if
You are in a detached state of mind. Because of your vairagyam, you don't get attached to any event or anything in life.
no,
Uh,
one second,
suppose,
1 second. You said just
yeah,
now that vairagyam is a decision that you take, right?
yes.
Now,
Vairagyam is the attitude with which you take that decision.
right. So the question here is that with vivekam, there's not only one outcome or one decision we take. One can take two decisions. One could be the worldly one, knowingly also, and one could be the 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 detachment one.
Based on vairagyam.
Yeah. So how will vairagyam be the vairagyam cannot be just one outcome. There are two outcomes that can happen. If there's only one, you can say it is due to the vairagyam. But if someone takes a worldly path, that's not due to vairagyam.
Of course not.
Sonal madam, can I answer the question for you?
Yes, please.
Okay. Meenu madam, it's like this. First of all, you recognize that all of this is temporary. Okay. The minute you recognize that everything is temporary, the next thing that you realize is that for me to have an attachment to this is ridiculous. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
The minute you recognize that something is temporary, your attachment to this begins to dwindle. Because you say that whether it is there or it is not there, it doesn't matter. Am I correct?
Well, it matters until our journey on this planet.
No. 1 minute. You don't have an attachment to whether it is there or it is not there. If you lose it, you will not get blood pressure because you realize that it is temporary. You did not come with it. You are not going to go with it. It is a very temporary situation that you are working with.
Are we
So the thing,
in the
your attachment,
angle, or we are talking on practical earth? Because if
we
you
are talking. Let me
philosophical,
we are talking about practical things. There are certain things which you are deeply attached to.
yeah,
Okay, that means that those which you are deeply attached to, you don't have vairagyam. You are
yeah,
constantly having a bond with it and
yeah,
you're interacting with it.
yes,
However, when you realize that this is temporary and I can, this, I'm not going to take it with me, you begin to get detached with it. You understand what I'm saying?
okay.
So
Sir,
when
can
you,
I put in?
yeah, one second, Sonal madam, Lakshmi madam had something to say, and then we'll come to you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sir, while listening to Sonal ma'am and Minu ma'am, this thought came in my mind. Vairagya is not something which we can, I think it is something which is cultivated based on one's life experiences. When this discussion was going on, it suddenly struck me. One of my friends lost her brother at a very young age, all of a sudden. Till then, certain things which used to matter a lot to her now it doesn't matter much. In the sense that after facing a big loss, that's what I'm trying to say. When a big loss or some kind of a numbing experience comes in one's life, then vairagya starts taking
But then
place.
that it becomes Smashana Vairagya.
So it's again, the thing is that what we are talking about here is again not the outcome. We are talking first principles, because if you have the first control of the first principles, you can apply it anywhere. You understand what I'm saying? The underlying principle of what you are saying, we are trying to figure that out. Nobody is disagreeing with what you are saying. That an experience can make a person detached. What I am trying to say to you, and I'm trying to decode what Sonal madam is saying, is that the minute you realize that everything on this earth is temporary, everything that I see is I'm going to leave it behind, or it is not mine. Then what happens is that the attachment to that particular object, you will use it, you will have a need for it. For example, I love cars. I'm a very astute automobile professional. But for me, the first time I sold my first car, I had a huge amount of, what do you call, feeling of breakage of a bond. But thereafter, I began to recognize that that particular thing was temporary. I am, when the car is with me, I am deeply attached to it. I do look after it well and things like that. But I'm not attached to it. Sorry. I'm not attached to it, but I am committed to it. So the difference between commitment and attachment is where I think vairagyam is, the difference is what is vairagyam. Am I correct? Do you agree with me, Sonal madam?
Yes, sir. This is what I wanted to reply to Minu ma'am also. That when we say about mobile phone, we have to have it till we are on this planet. Yes, of course, definitely. Now in the modern world, we cannot do without it. But only thing is, we are not going to not take care of it. We are going to charge it. We are going to take care. We are going to change the model also when time comes. But that does not mean that one day, if it is gone somewhere, or you forget it in some friend's place and you can get it only tomorrow, then your life becomes hell for those 24 hours or whatever. It's not like that. Okay, it's not there, fine, it's not there, I will get it next time, fine. That attachment, that deep obsession for everything, and the resulting suffering,
Is
not
not there.
just about gross items, about human relationships, about human, we have pets. So sometimes the pet dies. So with anything and everything, that basic this thing is there, that life goes on, and that doesn't mean you don't love them enough. You care for them, you love them, everything is there, but that obsession
The
that I
bondage is not there.
can't.
So the
Yeah.
commitment is there. There is no bondage.
Bondage.
Minu madam, does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Actually, the vairagyam part was very pretty clear for me. It was the vivekam part which was.
Vivekam is actually the Vivekam is easier because it's binary. It is the vairagyam that is analog. Vivekam is binary. Everything is temporary other than the Brahman.
Okay.
So but understanding that is what is difficult. The vairagyam, even I was struggling to answer the question until this commitment and bondage difference came to my head. So here I'm able to talk about committed to looking after something without getting bonded to it.
Yes.
Which we can say that, like the way Krishna says that karmanyeva adhikarastu ma phalechu kadachana. That.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. That is vairagyam.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank
I'm really grateful to everybody today for putting in this effort. I learned a lot, and I'm hoping that you all had fun and you all learned a lot too
Yes, we
as well.
did.
We did, sir.
So with that, I'm going to close down. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful week. Happy New Year to everybody,
Thank you.
and let us meet on the 6th, I think. And this time again, I think this format makes sense, isn't it, for us to really go into the depth.